Good evening, and welcome to our Maundy Thursday Holy Week Tenebrae service. It is a hard service and a beautiful service, so thank you for being here. And now let's prepare for the introit.
Bless the Lord, my soul, and bless God's holy name. Bless the Lord, my soul, who leads me into life. Bless the Lord, my soul, and bless God's holy name. Bless the Lord, my soul, who leads me into life. Bless the Lord, my soul, and bless God's holy name. Bless the Lord, my soul, who leads me into life.
Please listen to the prayer. To all who fall asleep from sorrow, weary from the tolls of violence, drained by betrayals unforeseen or expected, exhausted by systems of cruelty, let yourself feel empty. Stop for a moment trying to push through. Allow your body to say, no more. We can only hold so much. This is not a weakness. A heart hard enough to withstand all the world's grief has already broken. Yes, it aches when we can't meet each other's needs. Yes, it hurts to feel helpless before suffering. Yes, we show up anyway with all the love and offerings we have. But as long as empires reign, they will carve their costly holes in every web of care we weave. What posture of grief can honor this, that it is and isn't enough? And join me in the unison prayer. We will not look to the cross for what saves us. Let us refuse to glorify empire's violence or try to blunt its terror. Surely the stomach of God turns at every prayer, casting this tragedy in their name. This is a day for bearing witness to all the lives and life destroyed through theologies of dominance, institutional sacrifices, imperial and colonizing forces, and stories that sabotage from the inside out. Lands and peoples, spirits and futures, creatures and communities. Blessed is this flesh of God. We remember, we weep, we remain followers of defiant love.
He is my child, even now, even dead. He is my precious boy. When I was young, an angel came and told me that I could have a special child, a baby for God. I said yes. Yes, let my child bring justice to this world. May our God fill the hungry and knock down the wealthy and powerful and proud. My soul would magnify God. I knew this wouldn't be easy. I was not yet married, betrothed to my husband, not yet husband, Joseph. Would he have me put away? Would he have me even killed? Would my family be ashamed of me? Would anyone believe me? I could hardly believe it myself. Me, a poor, simple peasant girl, bringing the Messiah into the world? How could I be mother to a king? But God can do anything. And if I were married to the Messiah, I could teach him. I could teach him to see people who are hungry. I could teach him that women matter also. I could teach him that being a religious leader doesn't make anyone closer to God. They could be corrupt too. I could teach him kindness and love, generosity. The Messiah born in Galilee to no one who mattered at all. He wouldn't have teachers from foreign lands. He wouldn't learn affairs of the state, but he could learn empathy. How many times have we poor said, if only those kings and princes and priests could walk in our shoes, could live like we do, if only they knew what it was like to look for work and find none, or to have work and have your wages stolen, or to send your children to bed hungry. If only they knew what it was like to live in fear on the edge of ruin. And the Messiah that God promised our ancestor Abraham could know all that. If he sees me, his mother, and sees Joseph and the others, well, he would be able to see people with hard lives. Herod has no pity. The governor from Rome and the soldiers, they care nothing for us. But the Messiah would. Oh God, how amazed I was, how proud. I said yes. When I took my beautiful baby to temple, the prophet told me that my side would be pierced. I didn't understand it. I didn't know that my beautiful son, the gentle boy I fed at my breast, whose tiny fingers wrapped around mine as he took his first steps, the baby who cried when he saw people hurt and loved God so much that he stayed alone in Jerusalem when he was only 12, Joseph and I thought we lost him then. And now I have lost him. My Jesus, my beautiful son, was murdered by the rich and the mighty. He would talk to them of peace and of love. He would tell them that the poor do matter, and they killed him for it. I should have died first. I saw my boy carry that cross up the hill. They had beaten him and made him wear a crown of thorns. I had to watch him die. I don't understand. Why did that angel ask me to have a child of God if he was just going to grow up and be executed like a criminal? What would you have done if you were asked to bear a child and then let him go?
wept at Mary's cry. Were you there when God wept at Mary's cry? Were you there? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they wept at Mary's cry? Were you there?
They call me Judas Iscariot. It meant Judas from Cariath. Now it means Judah the traitor. I don't know what my friends think of me now, my former friends. I don't know what I think of myself. I didn't want him to die. I just wanted something to happen. We were wandering around and he was preaching and teaching and healing people and talking to women. And the whole time Israel is ruled by Rome. We sent exorbitant taxes. The soldiers harm our people. Jesus was getting so famous everywhere we went. People crowded him, crowded us. They would shout at him to heal them and to teach them. They didn't understand anything he said anyway. He let women travel with us. He let women sit at his feet. He let one pour perfume all over his feet, expensive perfume. You could smell it from miles away. He wasted all this time and all of these people's goodwill. He could have made things happen, but he didn't. Why didn't he? He talked about love and caring for the oppressed. I thought it was garbage. I wanted something to happen. I thought maybe I could make it different. Maybe I could make him act. So when we went to Jerusalem for Passover that night, when he washed our feet and sat and ate with us and talked about abiding in God and a new mandate for love, well, I left. I walked out of that room into the chill, dark night. I walked away and I told. I wish I could go back. I didn't know what would happen, how wrong it could go. But I ask, what would you have done if you wanted change?
I led the Sanhedrin as we questioned him. It was a maddening night. Our holy city was filled with soldiers. We celebrate our freedom from oppression in Egypt, and Rome is watching to be sure we don't celebrate too much or get ideas. And Rome is cruel. Our holy temple was destroyed once before, where God lives. We haven't had this new temple for long, and it's at risk any time the rule of Rome is questioned. We Jews are at risk. We have been in danger before. We have been conquered. Nebuchadnezzar, who dragged our ancestors to Babylon, Ahasuerus, who married Esther and would have killed us all, none of them were able to destroy us. And this upstart comes along and calls us religious leaders whitewashed tombs and breaks laws. Some people think he's the Messiah. Look at how many of those crosses hanging with the dead are outside the holy city now. Think of how many of us the Romans have killed. How many would they kill over this man claiming to be king of the Jews? How many lives will be taken this Passover? Isn't it better that one person should die than the whole nation die? What would you have done if it had been you?
Oh, I know what they say about me, that I'm a cruel man, and I'm a poor governor. But I did try to help this so-called Messiah guy. I asked him right out, I said, "Are you the king of the Jews? What have you done? Are you a king?" I don't know, I couldn't find a real case against him. There's nothing, so I offered him his freedom. But then I heard that he had claimed to be the Son of God. And that was pretty scary, and I was very afraid. Power is precarious. It is so hard to get and even harder to hang on to. Someone, I don't even know who it was, but they said, if you free that guy, you will be no friend of the emperor. I can't have anybody say that I'm not a friend of the emperor. I was already stuck here in Judea, you know. They could have sent me to someplace else that's even worse than this. They could have taken my title. They could have taken my life altogether. Caesar is he's not a kind person, and he does not tolerate people that are not his friends. So I don't know. I don't know if this guy did anything wrong or not. I don't know. What is the truth? What's the truth? Do you know it? I don't. And what is the truth anyway? So why would I risk my position to defend this so-called, well, really, it's a nobody. So, yep, I handed him over. I did. I handed him right over to die. But what would you have done if you'd have been standing where I am? What would you have done? Or you? Oh, sacred head now wounded with grief
I had been with Jesus from the beginning. He found me fishing and said he would make me a fisher of people. I left my boat right then. I stuck with Jesus through events I did not understand, even when others have not. We were such good friends that I could talk back to him. He tried to wash my feet, and I said no. He told me unless he did, I would have no place with him. So I said he should give me a full bath. I laughed at that. I haven't laughed since that night. He would tell me when he thought I was being a dummy, which I am sometimes, but I would fight anyone to protect him. I cut some servant's ear off, or at least I thought I would do anything to protect him. That's how good friends are. But then I failed him. I failed him. My friend, my teacher, Jesus was inside, being questioned by the high priest. They tortured my friend. I followed after he was arrested. Why? Did I think I was going to bust in and save him? Run after the soldiers and fight them all? I just sat outside at the gates waiting to see what happened. A servant girl asked me if I was with him, and I said no. She insisted, and I was afraid the crowd might grab me too, that the soldiers would come back out. It was dark, and I smelled the smoke of campfires. I heard them tortured inside, or I thought I did. Did I really hear that, or was it fear? I had always been so certain if I was in that position, I would do the right thing. Of course I would. It was easy to say, not so easy to do. It turned out that I didn't. I even yelled at the girl when I denied knowing him. How would he have liked that? The best friend, the best person, the best teacher I ever knew. I said I didn't know him. Why did I say that? Why? I told him I would never deny him, but I did. I failed my friend, and then I ran away. I wasn't there when Jesus was dragged his cross up the hill. I wasn't standing there at the cross with the women while he suffered. I was not there when he died. I couldn't do that for him. I didn't even help prepare his body for burial. I am so ashamed. I don't know if I was more afraid that they would see me and know I was with him, or that he would see me and know that I had denied him, because I was afraid. I don't know if he could ever forgive me. I don't know if I can ever forgive myself. I wonder what you would have done if you had been there that terrible night.
I didn't know anything about him, except that he came into the city on the day that the governor entered. The governor came in riding a military stallion, surrounded by chariots and soldiers. This man Jesus rode a donkey. That was wild. People went crazy. The Romans would have thought nothing of a guy on a donkey. A donkey means peace. The prophet Zechariah said that the Messiah would come riding on a donkey. Shout for joy, O daughter Jerusalem. Behold, your king is coming to you. A savior is he, humble and riding on a donkey. And from what I heard about it, people did shout for joy. They screamed and called Hosanna, and they threw down their cloaks and waved branches of green around in the air. They celebrated. Maybe the Messiah is coming. I heard about it, and I admit that I hoped. So when I heard a few days later that he had been arrested and was about to be killed, I was angry. I was angry at Rome, I was angry at God, and I was angry at him. For a few days, I thought maybe this Passover we will finally be free. Maybe this Passover we will be liberated. Finally. But he's just another Jew getting arrested and killed. So when Pilate asked who should he set free, I too shouted Barabbas' name. Maybe Barabbas isn't a good man, but I am so tired of corruption and oppression and hopelessness everywhere. I am tired of the taxes, of my sons being taken away, of my daughters being taken. I wanted him to be real. I don't know how much about this Jesus, but I shouted too. What would you have done when all the others shouted?
I am a Roman centurion. I command 100 men. I was young when I became a soldier and took an oath to fight for the emperor. I have traveled all over the world. I have seen friends die. I have killed so many men. I have killed women and children. For years I have been in Judea. I do not know if I will ever return to Rome. My parents are probably dead by now. I hope my wife waits and our children are well. I wouldn't recognize them. I have been away so long with my fellow soldiers, moving and fighting. I have been part of many executions. I don't care. It's my duty. These Jews are a strange, superstitious people. They are nothing to me like the Saxons before them. I fight for the glory and the honor of Rome. But this man was different. The others treated him like they did all the convicted. We have crucified thousands. They mocked him, spit on him, took his clothes, beat him. Since some had called him King of the Jews, they twisted together a crown of thorns, carefully, of course, and they put it on his head. Soldiers must take our fun where we can. This is a hard life, and we are hard men. We have no room for pity or weakness. I do not blame them for mocking him or laughing at him. I have done this many times myself. But he didn't beg as so many do. He didn't plead for his life or cry or curse them. He was quiet. He looked at them. They laughed and mocked and spit, and he just looked at them. Blood ran down his face, and still he smiled. They put the heavy post of the cross on his back and made him walk it up the hill outside the city, the hill called Golgotha, the place of the skull. He was weak and could barely carry it. He fell beneath its weight, but still he did not whine. They nailed him to the wood and hoisted him up, a lowly death, a warning to pirates and thieves and troublemakers. And he looked to the sky and said, "Forgive them." Forgive them? He asked his God to forgive us? I never asked my gods to forgive anyone. I have never seen anything like it. When he died, I saw the sky go dark. I felt the earth shake and heard a strange wind blow. I have been a soldier most of my life, but nothing has frightened me so much as this. Truly, he was the Son of God. We killed the Son of God. I'm a soldier. It was my duty for Rome, as I always have. What would you have done?
Were you there when they nailed him to the tree? Were you there? Were you there when they nailed him to the tree? Were you there? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they nailed him to the tree? Were you there?
I am Mary Magdalene. He healed me. It wasn't just healing, though, because I was tortured. Demons of sadness, of fear. They came to me and made me afraid to leave home, afraid to be in the dark, afraid to be alone, afraid to be around others. They haunted me, telling me that I am worthless, that I don't deserve to live. I was so broken. I have money, yeah, from my father and a home. Not many women have their own home. Most belong to their husbands. I do not. But because of the pain in my mind and my body, many people thought me cursed. I thought I was cursed. But then I met him. I felt he could see everything inside me, and somehow, despite what he saw, he could love me. I thought maybe what he saw was good. He touched my hand, my head, and the tightness in my chest that made it so hard to breathe lessened. I felt my back and my shoulders straighten. It had been hard to eat, for everything I put in my mouth made me gag, hurt my stomach. But he healed me. With him, I suddenly didn't feel like I was choking. I could swallow. I could breathe. No one had ever looked at me like he did. It reminded me a little of my mother when I was small, when she watched me play and she laughed. My mother had waited so long for a child, she didn't even mind that I was not a son. He looked at me like my mother looked at me, and for the first time, for a very long time, I felt safe. Do you know what it is to feel safe after being haunted for so long? He made my pain leave me. Perhaps you know what it is not to feel pain. But do you really know what it is like not to feel pain after years of constant agony? It felt like freedom, like terrible demons had left me. So, of course, I followed him. I supported him as I could. I loved him. I loved him. I can't even tell you what it was like to be with him. He had this beautiful voice, like a song and a whisper at the same time. His voice was more beautiful than pouring water. I sat at his right hand at dinner that last night as he told us to love each other. And when he was arrested and taken up the hill to die, I was there. It was the most awful thing I had ever seen. Him in pain on that cross, now dying, him dying. But I couldn't leave him to face it alone. I wanted him to see the face of at least one person who loved him. Have you ever watched someone you love die? It is so hard, but I couldn't have been anywhere else. I watched him take his last breath. And early in the morning, after Passover is over, I will go to his tomb. I will wash and wrap his body. I will be there with him, even now. If you loved him, what would you do?
Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into